Hey there, everybody. Don Evans here from WatchReport.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Victorinox Swiss Army INOX. Now, real quick before I get into the specs, this watch was provided to us from First Class Watches UK. The website is firstclasswatches.co.uk. Now, nothing is going to be different about this review. But instead of the company, in this case Victorinox, sending us the watch for a hands-on review, First Class Watches reached out to us. They are an authorized dealer of Swiss Army watches, among others. So if you want to check them out, the price on their website for this watch comes to, with the US conversion, about $551. And it does say that they price match. So let's get on to the watch. This watch has been covered in publication reviews, for about a year and a half now since its debut last year. And it is touted as a hard use, very rugged watch that has been put through a bevy of 130 different types of tests, high temperature, high heat temperature, extreme cold, shock resistance, and everything else. And I will go into that in the full review a little bit. But what I wanted to talk about here is more about the style and how it feels and how it wears, and of course give you the best look at it possible, because I think if you're not able to get this watch in hand, or any of the watches that we review, video is the best way to really get a great look at the watch and see if it's going to be right for you or not. I always want to make this clear, and I apologize for rambling on here, but I'll try and show you the watch off as I'm doing so. We are not in the business here at WatchReport.com of selling you watches. We're here to review them. Sometimes we're going to love the watch. Sometimes we're not going to love it as much. Sometimes we're not going to find, faults to point out, and other times we will. But we're here to give you a hands-on review, and especially in these videos, we're here to give you the best look possible. So, you have a 43 millimeter case. This is the olive green or military green dial, if you will. It also comes in a bunch of different colors, and they've also now released a bracelet for these models. You could check them out, of course, on Swiss Army's website or at First Class Watches website, among many others. But there's a black, there's a blue, there's a red, there's a green, there, that you see here, and then of course there's different band options, strap options, and a couple of limited edition models they've come out with. So you have a 43 millimeter case, 51 millimeter lug to lug, 21 millimeter lug width, which I'll talk about more in depth here in a little bit, about 13 millimeters thick, sapphire crystal, and a Swiss Ronda quartz movement. Now, with all they've talked about and all the tests, I'm just going to, comment on it here a little bit and say, it's still a 316L case. As far as I know, this is not, a cold carbon case, and that it was heat treated or tegmented or anything else like that to make it more tough. It's hard to tell, but this watch does have a lot of weight to it. So the case walls of this seem to be very thick to me and very solid, maybe more so than some other watches. You can see that these crown guards, were shaped out of a solid block of steel. The crown guards and the way this crown screws down are one of my favorite aspects of this watch. It's a very solid, very smooth crown, and as most of you know, crown guards are to protect the sides of the case. You're not going to really have to worry about, if a crown gets hit this way, coming straight down on it, anything happening to it. Depending if it really gets smashed. But, something impacting it from the side is what can damage the crown of a watch. No chance of that happening, of course, with the way this is built in. You have the nice Swiss Army Shield logo here on the side of the case. It is all brushed steel except for the fixed bezel here, which I'm not sure why they went ahead and polished the beveled angles on this, considering this is marketed as a tough, hard use watch. That's going to get scratched. You do have applied markers Pretty clean dial as well. You know, you got that nice big deep date cutout there. 200 meters water resistant, and of course your logo. So they didn't overbrand or put a bunch of writing on the dial. And there's not a ton to the case back here either. You have your standard info, and then it's you know, it's very clean there in the middle. There's nothing there on the case back, so they're not trying to go overboard with that either. Nothing on this side of the case. You could see here, and I like when, I know not everybody likes this, but you could see that piece of metal, the piece of steel that's coming out from the case here. And that way, when it's worn on the strap, you don't have a big gap. Now, let's imagine that that was not there. You would have a big gap from where the strap starts to the case of the watch. I like the way this looks, personally. This came on the green rubber strap. As I said, they do have a bracelet for that now. You're going to want to check that out. I haven't seen the bracelet in person, but it looks great in photos from what I could tell. A very nice, solid looking bracelet. Strap is pretty rigid. You know, it is a natural rubber, but it is, I mean, it's tough. It's not a super pliable strap. I would rate it better than, say, a Seiko style rubber. But if you've ever had an isofrane, or what I have here in front of me, which is a Hirsch accent rubber, you can see this is much more pliable, but it's also very tough. Now, I did wear this watch on this strap. Now, this is a 21 millimeter. And for some reason, Swiss Army decides to do weird lengths or widths on their watches, excuse me. But if you have a nice pliable rubber strap, like this Hirsch or an isofrane, or possibly even a leather strap, you can fit that in there. I put it in there and it didn't look squeezed or stuffed in there at all whatsoever. So my personal opinion about this watch is I do love the look of it. I like the design. I like the style of it. The dial is very clean. I actually like this military or olive green. As I said, I'm not a big fan of the strap, but that's something that's always easily rectified. And of course, if you went with a bracelet or you want to put your own strap on it. I'm not a fan of the high polished areas here on the fixed bezel. I understand that they were wanting to highlight, you know, the angles and the way that they did that. I just don't think that a hard use watch should be polished, in my opinion. Now, if you want to protect your Swiss Army INOX, it also comes with what they tout as a rubber bumper. Now, this is silicone. Couple of things about this. One, I hate to say it, I think it's just plain silly. Two, if you're going to give me one of these, why isn't it in green and matching the color of the rubber and the dial? Three, if this is such a hard use watch, why do I need a rubber bumper to protect it? So, let me put this on here real quick for you. It just snaps right on. Okay. There it is on. Kind of looks like a G-Shock now, if you will. I don't know if that's good or bad, actually. But there's a look with the rubber bumper on. Personally, that's what I think of that. I think the watch looks great without it. I'm not sure why you'd want to put that on there. Let me show it to you on my 7.5-inch wrist. Give me 1 second to put this on here. Okay, there's a look at my 7.5-inch wrist. At 43 millimeters, it does wear great. It's not oversized. It's not too small. Okay. I think this would wear nicely for a lot of people. Now, of course, if you have a much smaller wrist, the lug to lug. I see something like apparently this is a big lug width, at 51 millimeters. I don't really think that it is, but if you have a 7-inch wrist or a 6.5-inch wrist, I could see that. So this has been a look at the Victorinox Swiss Army INOX, a rugged and hard use quartz watch. Like I said, I'm going to elaborate on that and some of the tests that they did and such things in the full review at watchreport.com. Go to the link in the description below. But I really just wanted to talk about it here with you guys and give you my opinions on it. Leave a like or a comment here on YouTube. As always, please be respectful. If not, it will be deleted. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you're already not. You will never miss another video or review. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. This has been Don Evans for WatchReport.com, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.